You ever play a game where the opening hours feel slow and simple, but you sense there's something special waiting beneath it? But then you look around and realize everyone else somehow saw past that beginning, calling it a cinematic masterpiece, and you're left wondering how they pulled that from 2 hours of what feels like press X monotony. My journey to Final Fantasy XIII was a strange one. I came in as a first timer, trying to fill in a specific hunger. I had fallen in love with Final Fantasy XV, a game that explicitly welcomes fans and first timers and delivers a beautiful, modern sci-fi road trip. I was fascinated by the lost lore of Versus 13, which sounded like it could have been the greatest game ever made. My recent forays have been disappointing. Final Fantasy XVI's dark fantasy felt boring, its conversations dragging on endlessly. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth felt bloated, trying to capture 15's world but just throwing in content for the sake of it, with a story that fell short of Remake. Remake, however, was brilliant. Its combat felt like the perfection of an idea. So hearing that Remake's combat was just 13's done right, I decided to go back to the source, drawn by that same sci-fi aesthetic I love. My first experience with Final Fantasy XIII opens with what just might be the single most punishing introduction I've ever played in a major title. It's not just linear, it's 2 straight chapters, 2 full hours of suffocating, narrow corridors. The combat feels like a parody of itself, asking you to do little more than press X and watch. It is, without exaggeration, press X slop. All the while, the story throws a torrent of unexplained lore and terminology at you. Lassie, Fauci, Focus, Cocoon, expecting you to keep up while you're trudging down another identical hallway. It feels lifeless, like a test of endurance rather than an invitation to the world. Honestly, I don't blame anyone who quit right there. The vitriolic discourse around the game's original release suddenly made perfect sense. I almost did too. But here's the thing. Final Fantasy XIII is the classic meme of the miner digging through tons of rock only to give up 1 inch before striking the diamonds. If you quit early, you stop right before the treasure. For me, the shift happened somewhere around the 7-hour mark. Deep into chapter 4, it was like someone flipped a switch. This is where all the characters were finally introduced, most of the core gameplay systems were finally unlocked, and the game even offered a taste of pseudo-exploration. The game that had been a monotonous slog is suddenly transformed. The paradigm system, once a one-button affair, finally revealed its razor-sharp tactical depth. The characters, once just mouthpieces for lore, began to breathe. What started as a chore suddenly became cinema, and when I say cinema, I mean everything. It's cinematic visually, with camera work and art direction that still looks absurdly good for a 2009 title. It's cinematic musically, with a score that defines the entire experience. It's cinematic tonally and emotionally, as the writing and relationships finally click into place. This is where I fell in love with the game, and it started with the characters. Lightning, often dismissed as cold or bratty, revealed herself as a grounded protagonist, perfectly suited to the game's sci-fi aesthetic. People used to call her rude, but she's essentially a gender-swapped Cloud, a stoic ex-soldier defined by a mission, hiding a deep well of compassion behind an emotionally distant front. Then there's Vanille. Honestly, I found her quite a bit grating at first, but she grew into the story's source of optimism. Her vulnerability during the amusement park sequence with Sazh, where she's holding back tears as he tries to cheer her up, all while he's unknowingly dissing her kind, was so warming to the heart. It becomes one of the game's most powerful and human moments. And Sazh himself, the lovable Unk, delivers one of the most devastating fake-outs in the series. That moment of attempted self-harm was shocking in its realism, a truly heartbreaking beat. These weren't just archetypes, they were people whose struggles carried genuine weight. The game's linearity, the very thing it was criticized for, started to feel like an intentional artistic choice. The characters are cursed, pushed forwards towards a fate they didn't choose, and the game makes you feel that suffocating path. The tight, directed focus gives the narrative a powerful cinematic quality, carrying you from one stunning set piece to the next without distraction. When Gran Pose finally opens up in Chapter 11, the shift is awe-inspiring. This massive green world stretches out endlessly, making you feel like you stepped into a completely different game. Everyone always said that this was the peak, but in reality, I found a greater strength in the focused, linear chapters. That open world is where the game drained me. The pacing in Final Fantasy XIII is a windshield wiper, swinging wildly between brilliance and tedium. I had been playing non-stop, loving the cinematic journey, but Chapter 11 slowed everything to a crawl, and nothing embodies that slog better than Tajin's Tower, floor after floor, shrine after shrine, each moment punctuated by a loading screen. It's a dungeon that overstays its welcome by an hour, a pure test of monotony. With almost no story moments to carry me, I genuinely had to put on a podcast in the background just to stay engaged and push through it. And yet, despite all of this complaining, I can't stop thinking about the game. Its beauty runs deeper than its graphics. It's in the soulfulness that Japanese studios pour into their sound design. My two favorite soundtracks in gaming are Final Fantasy XV and Nier Replicant, and 13 sits right next to them, from the iconic battle theme Blinded by Light to the haunting echoes of Dust to Dust. Every track is handcrafted to elevate the experience. The central theme of crystallization, completing your focus, and facing petrification as a kind of tragic immortality might seem cliché on paper, but the game makes it feel poetic. It's a hauntingly unique motif. Anytime I see crystal imagery in other media, my brain immediately goes, yeah, that's 13, he's completing his focus. Final Fantasy XIII was judged too harshly, but it gave players plenty of reasons for their frustration. Its opening is a disaster that fails to sell you what the game truly is. But looking back in retrospect, it deserves so much more praise and was, in many ways, completely unfairly judged. It was a game ahead of its time. When you look at modern JRPGs like Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can see 13's fingerprints all over its chapter-based cinematic structure. I truly believe if it got a remaster and it was released today in a world that now embraces focused, linear, cinematic games, it would be received far more warmly. I went in expecting an outdated relic and instead found one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had with the game. It frustrated me, it bored me, it made me want to quit, but it also amazed me, moved me, and stayed with me. Final Fantasy XIII is an unforgettable journey, a story of persistence. It's a game that asks you to push through and trust that the journey will pay off. For me, it absolutely did.